so excited to have you here. My name is Alex. I'm co-founder CEO here at Sales Boomerang, and joining me today for this amazing conversation about good is fine, but your LOs can be great. Basically saying your team can be great and what can you do for them to help them be great. Joining me today is Carissa from Finance of America. She's the digital product manager. I've had the pleasure of working with Carissa for a couple years and she is amazing. You guys need to really sharpen your pencils and listen to the things she's going to share with you today. Carissa, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And of course, he needs no introduction, but I will anyway. Mr. Joe from Mortgage Coach is here, the CEO of Mortgage Coach. Joe, thanks so much for joining us. Cannot wait to hear your thoughts on this amazing topic.
Yeah, this is great conversation to put together, Alex. Thanks for having us. And we also have many years of experience with Carissa, and everyone should get ready. You have a lot to learn, and we look forward to sharing this insight.
Awesome. So look, we're going to do this quick thing. You guys are all used to it. For those of you that don't know who Sales Boomerang is or Mortgage Coach is, we're going to give you a quick intro to that, and then we're going to get into the topic. So I'll start, and then Joe, I'm going to hand it off to you, and then we'll get into the big conversation. So for those of you that don't know, Sales Boomerang is a borrower intelligence system. Really, you know, we wear our mission on our shirts, which is no borrower left behind and every borrower in the right loan right now. What do? We let you know when anyone in your database is ready for a loan and which loan they are ready for. So we take this database of unknowns with all this activity that's happening with your consumers, and instead of you guessing and hoping to get something right and contact the person at the right time, we turn all of those unknowns into known actionable events, and we guide your team into making that confident call and advising your customers, your database, your prospects, your pipeline, your turndowns, right, into becoming your customer and staying your customer. And so, you know, you can see, and this is truly the shocking thing that a lot of organizations couldn't imagine until we're able to sort of show them the possibilities. In 1 month, your database, your existing customers, your existing database of all those opportunities sitting in there can produce over 13% of mortgage related events and activity, things from people shopping with your competitors to them being qualified for a very particular loan with you. And what we do is we make sure that you know the moment that somebody in your database is ready for a conversation with you. So that's a little bit about Sales Boomerang. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Joe real quick. And the reason we're doing this, guys, so that when we're talking about certain things about each of our organizations, and you'll hear us say some acronyms or some things, it's so that it can make sense and it can resonate, and so you can understand a little bit more about our companies. Joe, why don't you share a little bit about Mortgage Coach?
Yeah, thanks so much, Alex. You're going to hear Carissa and Alex and myself reference the total cost analysis, which is what you're seeing on the screen right now. And so originators coast to coast use Mortgage Coach to produce presentations like this that present loan comparisons of any kind, scenario to the consumer and to the folks that are helping influence that transaction. These financial strategies can include any sort of loan product and any sort of strategy, such as a rent versus own or an appraisal gap, or all of the things that are market relevant today, perhaps a debt consolidation to help people be debt-free faster. So when we're talking about providing advice and not price, and when we're talking about a TCA or a total cost analysis, this is what we're referencing and really making sure that everyone has access to when we talk about a partnership together in the future. And so when we want to be advisors, the best way to be advisors is to make sure that advice is understood. And that's what Mortgage Coach makes sure is possible.
Fantastic. Awesome. All right. So look, we're going to be doing something different. We're going to be having a conversation that you all are going to get to listen into, but also engage with. You hear us talk about some things, ask questions. You are inspired to challenge something, challenge it, right? Be involved. And so let's talk about this. Let's talk about Finance of America. Carissa, you guys have been on a road to going public, and it takes something very special for that to happen. Why don't you share with us, what does it take to get to the place where you guys are at now?
Yeah, a lot. It's been a really exciting time for Finance of America. We went public this year, and that was not something that happens overnight. That's years and years of strategic planning. And a lot of it comes down to people and leadership. I came from Gateway Funding. I've known you guys since the Gateway Funding days. It's been a road. But when we became Finance of America, the decision was made to create this brand that was able to deal with the fluctuations in the market. So not just having a forward mortgage division, but also commercial and reverse and student loans and rental loans and everything and anything, so that we could be this one-stop shop. And that was by acquisitions and strategic partnerships that we were able to get to that point to go public. So like I said, we've known each other for quite some time. And it's really partners like you guys that have helped get us to this point, by automation, by giving us data, by positioning us to be as lean and mobile as we possibly can be. So that's kind of the long short of it. But
Yeah. So really, the way that you've been able to orchestrate this is you set a goal, and then once you've set that goal, you are partnering with organizations like Sales Boomerang and Mortgage Coach to achieve those goals. And I think it's worth right now having everyone that's listening here kind of hear you talk about also the culture, the kind of communication you have within your organization, the way you listen, the way you share things. Anything you can share there that could help, folks listen in and take some notes?
yeah, absolutely. So we're a very sales first organization. No decision is made from truly a bubble top down. It's what does sales need to either do their job more efficiently or cheaper or faster, while not sacrificing anything from that borrower experience. So as we roll out products like Mortgage Coach, like Sales Boomerang, we're really involving our sales force to see, is this something that's actually valuable? How are you going to use this every day? And is this going to make your life better? And we'll use them as kind of our advisory committee to make sure that it is. And we can't forget about our realtor partners, our referral partners, and our borrowers in all of this. So as we're having those conversations with sales, we need to make sure that they're including their borrowers, they're including their referral partners, because we need it to be valuable to them as well. So that's really kind of almost a bottom up when you're thinking about ideas. It's so important to hear from your sales folks, because you can have the prettiest toys in all the world. If they're not using it, it's completely pointless.
I love that.
Huge for us.
So look, remember why we're here, everyone. We're here to talk about taking your team from being good to being great. And there's something that we talked about when we were preparing for this conversation, and it was so brilliant the way you put it together. And you talked about a standard, right? You can set a standard and talk to everyone here. And by the way, if you're listening in, there may be nothing more important than what Carissa is about to share with you in this presentation, because when you share this concept of where you set the standard, it is really the fuel that has gotten you to where you guys are at right now. So talk to us about that. Talk to us about standards and what does it mean to you guys and what you do with that.
Yeah, for sure. So, part of our growth from tiny gateway funding to Finance of America is trying to constantly better ourselves against the industry standard. And I would love for everybody to start using these tools so that becomes the baseline. So we're all collecting data on our customers, and we know what's really going to benefit them. We know that they have a ton of credit card debt, or they have a ton of equity, and their kids are getting ready for college, or we know that they're listing their house soon. When we know what they're doing, we can message them correctly. And there was a comment made the other day of purpose and messaging. So what Sales Boomerang is doing is giving us the purpose, and Mortgage Coach is giving us the message to help our customers digest that. So if that becomes the baseline standard, and everybody is getting these alerts and everybody is sending out a TCA so that every borrower expects that level of communication and that level of detail, that pushes our industry forward, and that keeps us innovating, and that keeps us growing. And that's really exciting, because ultimately at the end of the day, our loan officers get quicker and more knowledgeable, and our borrowers become more educated. And that makes it a little easier to do our jobs when they totally understand, what a very complicated process actually is.
Yeah, I love that. And so interesting. So for everyone listening, what Carissa is saying is this: Finance of America isn't afraid of you being equipped with the best resources, the best technology, the best strategies. Because what Finance of America knows is if they feel you catching up, they're going to step it up, right? And they're going to create a new standard and a new standard and a new standard. And I thought it was so brilliant that when you shared this with us the last time we spoke, Carissa, that yeah, please, like get with it, industry. Like do everything that we're doing and push us forward, because when you push everyone, the experience for the consumer is so great that they are no longer dreading the mortgage experience, but anticipating the next great experience. So I love that. Joe, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, or just keep rolling along.
Well, I would certainly just echo that the journey that Carissa and her organization have been on, from the Gateway funding days all the way to what Finance of America is leading right now, really does speak to the digital leadership and some of the pioneering that she oversaw. And so when you talk about, creating the standard and raising the level of service across the organization, I think it'd be helpful for the audience to hear just some of the strategies you use and some of the measurements you put in place, so that from the top down, you are able to inspire that culture, because it really is an incredible story of automation and really a unique path that you went on.
Yeah, I mean, and so much of that goes to just good leadership. We have leadership that does believe in technology and believes in automation and believes in investing in that. And you see the benefits fairly quickly. I think everybody right now is sending out like milestone notifications as your loan goes through the process, but that wasn't a standard. And that alone saves so much time from processors and loan officers' days that they don't have to pick up the phone and call their realtor to let them know that an appraisal has been ordered. That over multiple loans is such a time saver. So when you implement that idea of something so simple to automate it and put that into other realms, it just makes everything so much easier. And the more time that a loan officer has that they don't have to sit there and cold call their entire database or explain different loan products on, pieces of paper or anything like that, that's time that they can use to sell new loans, to meet new customers, to build relationships, the things that sales folks really should be doing. Mm-hmm. And that, again, it's our leadership is wonderful and they're absolutely incredible and forward thinking, but that's been something, going back to the Gateway days of automate and simplify it and make it easy for people. There's no reason that things that can be automated and made easier shouldn't. And that's not only on the loan officer level. When you make something easy for a loan officer, you're also making it easier for the consumer. And so many people just, when you say mortgage to the average person, it's a stressful word. And when you have these experiences around loan officer or processors chasing you down for documentation and just the entire application process and all of that, it's overwhelming. So if we can simplify that and we can make it easy for the borrower to understand, mortgage all of a sudden becomes an opportunity and not a thing that you need to have, and it's a daunting task and you don't know where your W-2s are. Like, just easier. And that's really what we're trying to do at Finance of America, is give the tools to our loan officers to make their lives and our consumers' lives easier.
So let me highlight something here. There's a couple things that Carissa said, and I want everyone on this call that's listening to us right now, first of all, engage. I got a question for everybody on this call. You just heard Carissa talk about they encourage the competition because it's going to make them better. Do you have that kind of thinking in your organization, right? Remember, we're here to go from good to great. That is great kind of thinking, right? And so do you have that in your organization today? Are you afraid of somebody next door to you implementing something better than you? Or are you encouraging it so you can say, hey, let's us step it up. You see what they're doing? Let's us do better. So if this is a question for you, engage, you can throw things in chat, or you can just write it down and talk to your team about that. Number two, Carissa is saying, if you can make your lenders, your loan officers' lives easier, why wouldn't you? Right? There's something that you said the last time we spoke, Chris, and I love this also. Like you just really, dropped the wisdom bombs on us. So you said, hey, why wouldn't organizations make it easy for their loan officers if they can? And we said, well, maybe they're afraid that they don't know how hard it is to set this up. And then you literally, without a missing a beat, you were like, it's shockingly simple. Can you talk about that? Like specifically with the mortgage coach sales boomerang relationship, like what is it like to set up this relationship between the two?
Shockingly simple. Typically, when you look at, I mean, the tools that Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang give to you, you just assume that it's going to be super labor intensive for our IT team, our developers, our trainers. There's so many people that go into onboarding a new platform. And with both of these, we really didn't need much internal staff. Probably the biggest investment that we had was around training. We wanted to make sure that our sales force was kind of standardizing how they were tackling these leads and handling these TCAs. So we do have internal training that is handling that. But as far as integrations and getting this in front of our loan officers and getting them set up, I mean, it's a flip of a switch, and it takes more than a day, but in technology onboarding, like it really is just the easiest thing. And the great thing too, and I just want to thank both of you guys for the extended partnerships that you built. So, it's great to have a vendor that's really good at what they do, but when that vendor can integrate with your CRM and your other vendors, like the two of you coming together to create an integration, that's huge. And the integration that you guys have, we didn't have to do a single thing for. Just give us your API key and it's done. Like, that's huge. So there's no lift from the digital team, from the IT team to get this set up. And that's amazing when you can roll something out to sales that looks like you spent a lot of time on it, and it's all you guys.
You can take the credit though, Carissa. Absolutely.
Sure.
And by the way, Joe and I in our organizations, we actually do love to spotlight the people that we're working with in each organization, because you are the heroes. You've chosen this. You decided to roll this out, and we do our best to make sure that it's as simple as possible and has the most results. But look, we can talk about it all we want. I would love to hear, and I'm going to cue this up right now, from someone that's got to experience this, both technologies working together. So we want to share a video with you guys real quick. So allow me to do that. Let me get this thing queued up. All right. And so some of you may see this before, and please let me know if you guys can hear the audio for everyone. So.
Hello. I'm Tim Rowan with Finance of America, and I just want to reach out real quick and talk to you about my experiences with Sales Boomerang and, of course, Mortgage Coach. One of the biggest challenges we face as professional salespeople is how do we stay in front of our past client database in regards to market changes? Have interest rates gone down? Has equity gone up, giving a great opportunity for debt consolidation? Maybe monthly payment savings simply as a result of rates having gone down. Well, Sales Boomerang does this for us. It works with our client database and is constantly filtering and notifying me of which clients to reach out to and say, hey, now might be a great opportunity to take advantage of current market conditions. As well, Mortgage Coach, which I've been a user for a long time, just simply put, is just a wow moment in regards to presentation to the consumer and your client, whether it be a new client or a past client. There's nothing more powerful than showing a client their options, not just one, not just a simple fee sheet, but 3 to 4 options that may or may not meet their wants and needs. I've never, ever, ever had a client review a Mortgage Coach report and have their reaction be, I think I'll go shopping for a lower rate. Because it's not about rate, it's about presentation and what works for your client. So I can't say enough about Mortgage Coach, and I've been a user for a very long time. As we get these Sales Boomerang alerts, I convert them into Mortgage Coach reports. So I'm alerted, hey, your client could benefit from this. I quickly go in and create a Mortgage Coach report using their current loan data compared to what loans are available in the market today. Knocks it out of the park every time. And most importantly, it really puts me in an advisory position with my clients. Talk about trust and rapport. It doesn't get any better than that. Anyway, guys, if you have any questions or anything I can ever help, please reach out. I'll talk to you soon.
How about that?
He's the best. Yeah, I mean, I want to comment on Tim. So he's been with the company for a while, and he was, top producer, and did mortgage coach reports on everything. And when we rolled out Sales Boomerang, immediately he got it and saw the benefit of, again, that purpose and messaging. So getting those alerts on somebody that's listed their home or somebody that called our competitor for a quote. He's taking that data that we're providing and using that TCA to drive it home. So he did such an incredible job with that we actually made him our head of retention sales. So heading our initiatives as we really kind of focus on this customer for life platform that we're building. So he's an incredible resource here at FAM. So
that's amazing. That's
a little shout out.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I love the how you identified where his strengths are and you put him in a position to teach others in your organization. People, if you're listening, take that note. Right, recognize people in your good to great. Remember what we're talking about. Find those people, listen to them, find their passions, put them in a position to succeed, and then help them others in your organization succeed. Now, I got something I love how the world and the universe works. Joe, guess what? Somebody just queued you up for the next step. Somebody literally, and by the way, Daniel Scott, you are the man. You are the most active person in chat. We're going to send you a prize after this. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something. You're keeping the conversation going. Guess what they just asked, Joe? He just asked, how hard is it to get a TCA set up? And here's the best part that Tim also is going to love is it's become automated. Joe, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Yeah, I think, again, this is what makes the relationship special between our two organizations and the leadership of folks like Finance of America. So what you're seeing right now is the Mortgage Coach interface, and you'll notice the Sales Boomerang indicators. So all of the lists that are managed, as soon as an alert is generated, a TCA is already pre-created. So folks like Tim and others get an alert, they come into Mortgage Coach, they look at the information about the lead, and they decide which strategy of Finance of America's or any lender that is using our product to apply to the presentation for that customer. And so in the case of Carissa and her team, they have done an amazing job making sure that there's a library of appropriate templates so that the conversation from these alerts becomes casual and advisory and having a high conversion commitment rate. So in this particular case, you saw it was 2 clicks. I looked at the lead, I decided on my strategy, and now I'm creating that total cost analysis. So that total cost analysis is going to have your branding, your logo, your originator's information, all of the appropriate compliance language that your organization will set up, and your rates and fees and closing costs all appropriately applied to the comparison that you just generated. Delivering these to a customer is as simple as sending a link. So I'm actually going to go ahead and put this link in the chat right now. So for anyone that's in the event, you should be able to see this link. And if you clicked it, it would show this exact TCA that I have on my screen. And part of what makes this entire platform powerful is the fact that the information that's being seen is live. So when you get an alert from Sales Boomerang and then you engage with that alert through Mortgage Coach, you're now able to have this advice-focused conversation, much like how we're having in a Zoom today, but without the necessity of any extra software. So you're literally taking that lead through an appropriate conversation based on the alert that was generated for you. And again, that is one of the numerous strategies that can be applied from the leads that are generated directly from Sales Boomerang. And so what I think is really important, and for you to hear the story and experience from Finance America's perspective, is the difference when you provide data without an actionable path and when there is an actionable path. Because we all know that originators that want to take the journey from going from good to great, that they have to be supported. And that's the difference in different organizations, is how much support is provided. And there's some unique strategies that you and the digital team have done so that somebody can just turn on Mortgage Coach like I just demonstrated in 2 clicks, deliver an analysis. So Carissa, if you would, could you just share a little bit of that secret sauce of how you've been able to inspire thousands of originators to be their best with digital help?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of different levels to this. One, I think, is like Alex kind of said, taking the sales people that are using it and seeing success and elevating them, and hearing from your neighbor of what they're doing with this platform to succeed. So we do a lot of that, of just best practices within our organization to see how people are using it. That's also where we get ideas around. I kind of talked about it before of what needs to be focused on. How do we make this easier? Is by going to that. The second is by providing really easy to use training materials. So our training team does an incredible job of taking a platform and not only saying, here's how you use it, but here's how you use it every day and from a sales point of view. So really getting actionable trainings, I think, is really important. And then we also provide scripts. So a lot of our loan officers are incredible and they can get on a phone and sell anything to anybody, and it's great. But you need a little bit of just kind of an idea of where to start. And that's what these scripts do, is just kind of give you that kickstart that you need. And we also integrate everything through our CRM. I think I mentioned that. So we make it really easy to find everything that you're looking for in a single platform. So with this Sales Boomerang and Mortgage Coach integration, we're pulling that into our CRM. So the alerts that are going out, the contact information, everything is right there. And in that contact profile is that generated TCA. And it's not going out automatically because we want our loan officers to massage it a little bit, but in theory, we could, which is great, but we're giving everything to them in an easy to see and easy to digest manner, and that's crucial. If you make something hard, or you make somebody who doesn't have time have to think about what they have to say, it's not going to get done. So put everything in front of your salespeople and give them the opportunity to succeed using that.
I mean, that's special insight. And when you think of what you folks have done with your CRM to introduce automations or tasks or measurements, you really have served that data up so that they can take action right away. When you think about organizations that may be a little intimidated to provide scripting or kind of take that step to be a coach to their originators, and well, what would you say to them? Some folks on this call might not be as large, might not have the resources that FAM does. Some folks, 1 or 2 person marketing teams. You know, what can they take away and kind of put into action in their teams today?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, you guys are incredible partners. And I mean, going back to Gateway, we had a very small marketing team and we were able to implement this. So it doesn't take a lot of resources. The training and support that come from both Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang really fills gaps that you might have. So the scripts that I was talking about, that honestly, like the base of them came from Sales Boomerang. We've modified them slightly to kind of fit the FAM messaging, but they're ready to go. And they're basic to the point. It's not overcomplicated. And I think that's part of it too, is just don't overcomplicate it. Find somebody that believes in this within your company and give this to them. Ask them how they're using it and just elevate that. So you don't need a whole training team. You don't need a whole marketing team. Use the resources that are available and make it simple. Like don't overthink stuff. It doesn't need to be super complicated to be efficient.
It's great.
Very basic advice, but
listen,
it works.
But that's what Joe was asking for, something they can go and do right away and implement right away. So I thought that was a brilliant answer. And look, for everyone that's on the call and listening, let's just take a step back and for all of you that have been originators before, you just heard Carissa explain what her team is all about, and you're about to hear some results, right? We've talked about how easy and all that good stuff, but what does it mean to the results that her team is experiencing? And we're about to talk about that. But I just want everyone for just a moment that's ever originated, think to yourself, how much easier would your life be if what you saw Joe just demonstrate, you had available to you a decade ago, 5 years ago, whatever it is. Think about where you would be, how you would be organizing your teams, what the experience would be, how you would be hiring. That is available now. And you guys can post in chat if you want. How much easier would life be for you as an originator if those things were available And the cool thing is, and we talked about this earlier, not only is it available, but it's shockingly easy to roll out and implement in your organization. And you can take these simple steps. Somebody just wrote KISS, keep it simple in chat. Yes. That is a great model. It's a great place to start. Keep it simple. Then you can scale. You can dial things up and down as you need it. But think about how life, just seeing that presentation. I saw the presentation before, and I'm still amazed at seeing how easy it is to use. Alert comes in, TCA created, value added to the customer, value added to the originator. Everybody's happy. And so I just wanted to take that time to acknowledge that. Like, let's not go right to the next part of the conversation. Just acknowledge how simple that was and the value that's adding. Okay. And so let's get to the really fun stuff, right? So we just talked about all this ease of use and setup, and we saw presentations, but everyone on here is going like, all right, Carissa, yeah, you got all this set up, but did it really move the needle, or is it just, table stakes? Is it just, on from a distance, it looks and sounds good, but nothing's really changed in an organization? Can you share some of that?
Yeah. So one of the big drivers to really ramp up our retention, we've always had a customer for life model, but we really started servicing our own loans in the last year, which changes that customer for life idea from a just ideology and thing that we're working towards to we need this to be our customer for life, right? So that's really where this came from. So we've been watching a lot of our recapture rate. So I'm going to go into that. But just this morning, I looked at our numbers from Sales Boomerang. So just the number of alerts that we've gotten. And I went back to October. So not even necessarily from the beginning of when we started Sales Boomerang, just October. We have had about 20,000 alerts. So it's 20,000 opportunities for us to reach out to our past clients with information that's relevant to them today, not just pick up your database, to pick up your phone and call your database. These are hot leads. 10,000 of those were mortgage inquiry alerts. So 10,000 customers were talking to our competitors instead of us. That's huge. And because we got that alert early, we were able to retain a ton of those. Had we not gotten those alerts, those are 10,000 customers that are gone. That's 10,000 customers that would be in another company's funnel, and they would be working with them for life, right? So huge numbers there. As far as what that's done for our recapture rate, we were around 30% initially. We've almost doubled that over about a 5-month span. And we're just kind of we're consistently seeing that growth from that. So it's been absolutely incredible in such a short amount of time to see the success of these products helping our business grow. So
it's amazing.
Thanks, guys.
Oh no, my goodness. Thank you for sharing that. So what you're hearing is, first of all, the amount of activity. Okay. This is the shocking part for everyone, Carissa. Like when we talk to organizations, nobody believes the activity in their database. Now, look, all of you listening, just think about this. If we were to ask you or your loan officers, how many of their customers come back to them for another loan or for questions, you'll have people say, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? I got the best relationships. They all come back to me. And they say, okay. And then we ask a question of like, well, how many people are in your customer base? And they say, oh, 1,000. And we say, okay, how many of those people reached out to you this month? They're like 2. And then we show them that it should have been 180. And it's like, what? But then this is the beauty. When we can show them and show you what's available and how many people actually are raising their hand that are not calling you, it's the mortgage coach experience that then ties it all together, right? It's like you have something to say, but how are you going to deliver that message? Think about all of you over the last 12 months who have hired all of these new people in your organization, a lot of junior people in your organizations today. How are they going to have the confidence to call somebody randomly, right? Give them something to say and then show them how to say it. And it's just this harmonious kind of experience that you get. And so look, it's all about, we're going to go back to the beginning. It's all about setting a new standard, right? Yeah. Not being okay, being substandard or being at the standard of an industry, but setting a new standard, setting a new bar, and then understanding the expectations of your team, right? And then exceeding those expectations, not just meeting them, but exceeding them. And so why don't we dive into that for a second? And then really, we're going to open up. We have lots of questions, amazing questions. We're going to open up to Q&A and we're going to dive into this. But talk to us real quick, Carissa, about how you guys manage those expectations and how, you use that as a driver for the results you get.
Yeah, I have a kind of funny story that I want to just sprinkle in here. When we first started rolling out the sales boomerang alerts, we were getting hounded by our loan officers. They were like, they just pulled their borrower's credit and they got this alert, and like, it's just, why are you telling me that I just pulled my borrower's credit? Turns out that person that just got their credit pulled by you also went to your neighbor and there. So a lot of that conception of, well, this is my borrower, they're not going anywhere. Like, no, they're shopping you. And it's really important, like Tim said, to use that mortgage coach report to drive home that it's not about rate. This is what you're getting, and the long-term savings of this is the way to go. So super important there. And I had mentioned it before, our top producers are all daily mortgage coach users. That's not a coincidence.
That's right.
So I just wanted to sprinkle that in, because I always find it so interesting when I pull the reports on mortgage coach use and hear some of the comments from sales. It's like, it's just a no-brainer.
Well,
I love that.
From our view, I mean, providing borrower education is key. And we're, it's always inspiring. We love hearing how it's helping people in the market provide that transparency information. I mean, hundreds of calculations are done behind the scenes that many people on this call probably can do on an HP financial calculator, over an hour to come up with similar numbers. But ultimately, letting anyone take that journey from good to great requires the support systems like Mortgage Coach, like Sales Boomerang, and like a lending platform and leadership like yourselves to really pave the way. And I think one of the things that I want to make sure people hear on this event is how you become market proof. One of the things is the market sways back and forth, or people talk about the fallout and refinances or any of the type of turbulence that catches headlines. I think one of the things that's always been interesting about, your leadership is that it hasn't mattered what the market's doing. There's always been consistency. So not only raising the bar, but making sure people are supported to both purchase business, refi business, and to handle any of those ebbs and flows. So when you look ahead and you hear some originators, maybe concerned, or some brands, wondering what the future has ahead, what's your take on how to be market?
Yeah. So, I mean, now's the time to start investing in these tools, right? We're all so busy. We all have a ton going on. The volume's fantastic. It's a great time to be in the industry, but it's also a time to look forward. If you've been in the industry for any length of time, you know that it's not always like this. Even in a normal year, I'd say that this is kind of a little bit crazy, but you have just seasonality, and it's a very cyclical industry. And it's really important in these peak times to prepare yourself for long term. So what we're doing with Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang is building the foundation that carries us through some rougher times, or a purchase heavy market or a refinance heavy market. It doesn't matter for us. The tools are there to be able to pivot quickly and make those moves. So we were kind of talking about this yesterday, but I think it's so important that as you're looking at your pipeline and just kind of thinking of how the hell am I going to fit this in? Now's the time to do it, when you have room to kind of trial and error and figure out what works for you and your team. So, I mean, that's kind of always been a just sort of vision at Finance of America is today's great or today's terrible. 6 months from now look like? What does a year from now look like? And how do we support our sales staff so that they're able to take advantage of whatever the market is at that time? So really kind of preparation is key there.
That's fantastic. And so look, it's interesting that you guys are getting, for everyone on this call, and we're about to get to the Q&A thing, and we actually have a poll question coming up that's really interesting, a special offer from Joe and I. We're gonna put it out there in a second. But right, we're going from good to great, right? By the way, when was the last time you've seen that logo and that statement used, huh? We grew up on it, but it's awesome. So something interesting to understand, and why you're all here, and why all of you, so many of you, are still sticking around to hear the rest of this conversation. Here's why. You're hearing Carissa from Finance of America share some really unique strategies to their success. Okay, why do you think people like Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady have classes, have coaching, have built the ability to educate those that are interested in their process, because it works, because they've proven it time and time again. You're here not just to hear us entertain you, which is awesome, but I really encourage all of you to take the information you got here from Carissa and put it to work. Like, she's been gracious enough to share this because it works, right? And she, by the way, secretly wants you to do better so they can do better, right? And so take this information, not just about the sales boomerang and mortgage coach information that we're talking about, but all of those strategies she's mentioned, and implement them, right? It's something that works, and you can bring it to your teams and make it work for your organizations. And so let's dive into this last piece. And I want to throw up a question, and then I want to hear questions that have popped up from you. Well, let me go back here. I need to actually launch something, right? Stop the share, and I need to launch something here for everyone. A little poll, launch poll. Okay, everybody, you're going to get a question. So look, Joe and I are committed to helping anyone that's interested understand how Mortgage Coach and Sales Boomerang work together, the benefits of them, how even individually you should have these things turned on, but how 1 + 1 = 5 in this scenario. And so you got a poll right in front of you. Go ahead and take the time for all of you to answer. We will maybe be following up with the maybes, but yes and definitely's, we'll definitely be scheduling something. And what we're going to do, guys, for those of you that are saying yes and definitely, it's not our team, it's not Joe's team, it's not Alex's team that are going to be on the call. Literally, Joe and myself are going to sit with you, and we're going to dive into this because it's that important, it's that relevant, it's that timely. Carissa just said the best time to do something about making an investment into an improvement is now. We talked about this earlier, Carissa. When is the best time to save water, store water? When it's pouring rain outside, stick some buckets out, get some free water, put it to the side, be ready. So if now's the best time, Joe and I are committed to explaining how this all works for you. So, wow, we've had an incredible response.
Yeah, Alex, I would just add, again, it takes a lot of leadership for the folks who registered today to show up and learn.
Yes.
And so when we think about this, again, you and I have overseen over decades of time, lots of ROI and impact measurement for the lenders and clients that we serve. And so to be able to share in a conversation, learn about your organization, perhaps explore any of the particular loan products that you want to make sure you get more traction with this year, when you think about your corporate strategy and how you're going to bring people from good to great and be a market-proof lender, we're really open to having that conversation directly, especially since you took the initiative to learn here today. So I know, Alex, like you mentioned, looks like a lot of folks are taking us up on that. And I look forward to learning about a lot of forward-thinking brands, after this event.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Well said, Joe. Well said. So look, we'll end the poll. That was the special that it's going to be Joe and I, right? And we're just excited to be there and get our hands into this conversation. So we'll end the poll now. Oh, I see more of you coming in. You can also email us. You'll see that screen come up in just a second. If you don't get to give your answer here, because we're going to take the people from the poll and we'll be reaching out to you. But if you don't, so we can share. Can we share the results? Share the results. Let's see. Share the results. Huh? Can everyone see that? Cool. Very nice. You see, there's no. There's no. It's a matter of time. So look, let's dive into some questions. Richard and team, do we have any questions that we can tee up right now? Because there was a lot of activity, and a lot of you were sending messages to us directly into the panelists and not into the general chat. So let's take a look at what we have. I know there was one specifically for you, Joe. I'm going to go to that one first, Richard. if you don't mind. There was one that said, "Hey Joe, let's see here real quick." Okay, and this is from Daniel Scott, who's the most active today. How much better is Mortgage Coach versus CMPS or MBS Highway? He added at the end. If you can speak to that.
Yeah, sure. I'll take a quick minute. I mean, both of the brands that you mentioned, great companies. We don't see our solutions as competitive to either of those platforms. We really do view the total cost analysis differently. Mortgage Coach is a platform, not a product. And so in our solutions, you can illustrate far more loan options and far more scenarios than either of the products that were mentioned, but also importantly are our key integrations and API points. When you look at all of the places that Mortgage Coach pushes and pulls data, that's what makes us a platform. So things like our special relationship with Sales Boomerang or other pricing engines, LOSs, servicing platforms, custom APIs, when you look at the fact that 7 of the top 10 purchase lenders have chosen to partner and build with Mortgage Coach rather than create something on their own, that really speaks to the fact that what we have is truly unique. And folks and leaders like Finance of America have integrated with Mortgage Coach for over a decade to create these unique presentations, always having accurate data from a lot of different data sources. So the companies that were mentioned and oftentimes that you find in the market are great content providers, and that is wonderful content to learn from. But the total cost analysis is a unique platform, and it is, stands on its own as the way to provide advice and not price when faced with a consumer that needs education and direction.
Well said. Well done. Excellent. Thank you for that great question. So we have another one that came in here from somebody named Alex also. I wonder about LO and real estate agent relationships. Is there something that Sales Boomerang does to make it easier to maintain those relationships? So I love that question too. Yes, we actually believe in creating harmony between you and your agents. In the past, it's always been sort of like anyone that's been in presentations, we've seen me do this before. It's the LO going to the realtor saying, "Place referral here, please," right? And I'll buy you some lunch. And that's a one-way relationship, and it really puts a lot of pressure on the agent to perform, and a lot of pressure on the loan officer to ask. It's kind of difficult. Once you've built a friendship, it makes it easier. So the way Sales Boomerang looks at it is we believe, and it's not just Sales Boomerang. You have Keller Williams and these other real estate institutions that are like, hey, we want it to be a seamless experience. We don't want to separate mortgage from real estate. We want it to be one experience. When you're talking to this person, you know you have a lender behind them. When you're talking to the lender, you know you have a realtor behind them. And that is what we're giving everyone in the space without having to open your own real estate company. So it's about merging the messages together and saying, look, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, I'm going to refer everything back to you from our mutual relationship, and anyone that is not currently your customer, Mr. or Mrs. Agent, and there's a purchase opportunity and you're in my network, I'm going to round robin this to my network. And by the way, you just heard Carissa say something very special. 20,000 notifications since October. Let's assume for a minute just 20% of that is purchased. Just assuming, it's much more, but let's just assume it's 20%. That is 4,000 purchase referrals. That's Carissa and team referring that to realtors. Where's a realtor ever going to get that kind of volume? So anyone that uses Sales Boomerang, and we show them the process of getting agents to understand that this is mutually beneficial for the borrower, for the buyer, that they will have more opportunities given to them by the lender than the realtor will ever give back to you. And so, yes, Alex, it was a great question. And the answer is yes. We show your team, we show the industry how to use this information that agents don't actually have access to drive their business. And I'll end it with this. Any agent that partners with someone that's using Sales Boomerang and is automating this process, in the first 12 months, they will double their volume from the last 12 months, period. You did 10 last year, you're going to do 20 at least. It just happens because your database is more active than two agents, and we make that happen for you. So I hope that answers your question. What else do we have here?
Alex, I think it's important to just make sure to remind folks, not everyone has a database as big as Finance of America's database. but look at those exponential figures. I mean, even if you are a smaller organization, you think about the number of applications that you've taken, the number of leads that you've ingested as a group, and then you think about what kind of data you'll get from monitoring it, and how many opportunities you'll be able to pursue. So there is no lending organization too small or too large that couldn't benefit from better monitoring their past interactions with customers. Those relationships that you'd aspire to have are more possible when you're able to pursue them at the right moment and the right time. And there's never been this capability of data management before. And you folks have been really, key leaders in making it accessible to lenders. And so I just want to make sure it comes across to the folks on the line that this really is accessible to lenders that decide this is part of it.
Your data
Beautifully said.
is so valuable, like so valuable. And so many loan officers and realtors don't look at their database. They close and there's some automated marketing that goes out, and that's the extent of it. But if you just rework your entire database, it's a gold mine. And that's what these tools really do, is help you mine that database in a strategic and intelligent way to leverage those opportunities. It's incredible what you can do with what you have, whether that's a huge database or a small database. It's a gold mine.
Amazing. So let's see what else we have here. Do we have any other questions? We have something coming in here. Okay, that's more of an internal thing. Do we have any more questions? There was a bunch coming in. Let's see. Okay, hold on a second. So there's a question. Is there something that Mortgage Coach or Sales Boomerang does to allow the potential buyer to enter in personal information to make underwriting quicker? Joe, I don't know if you want to.
I mean, I guess my simple answer to that would be that workflow that I showed, that kind of synchronization of Mortgage Coach across all those platforms. When somebody goes from advice to engagement, we're there to push and pull that data to the right place. So if you think about the workflow of Sales Boomerang, monitored contact, now a TCA was created, now you had an engaging conversation, you've identified of the products that you presented, one needs to be originated, now that's being pushed into the LOS, and away goes the process. And so that was a lot of data entry that got removed from the originator and got removed from everyone within the team who has to assemble that loan file. So from that perspective, we're certainly affecting or impacting, underwriting speed, et cetera. But your traditional origination solutions are going to do things like AUS and decisioning against the Fannie and Freddie solutions. So, we're not taking that process or replacing that process. We're augmenting the ability to speed up that conversion and commitment. But when you look at that speed to lead, when you take a customer from 4 conversations with an originator to 1 or 2 conversations with an originator to commit, and when you remove a lot of the typical objections or friction points throughout a loan process, when somebody is rate centric or fee centric, they tend to have a lot of friction when things change or the final kind of documents are being produced, compared to someone who's been presented advice in a financial plan. So when you think about the tax on the underwriter, when there's additional stipulations, maybe the appraisal didn't come in where it needed to be, maybe there's some condition that now needs to be introduced, or some unique loan product that they're using, a non-QM or a down payment assistance. All of those different factors can create tension in the underwriting process when the consumer is not 100% committed. So when you have a total cost analysis and a Sales Boomerang data set, you have a more committed customer from the onset. And I think all of those types of efficiencies working together have a significant impact on underwriting.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. And making underwriting quicker, I'd say similar to Joe. It's just if you have that a customer that's educated, it's just gonna move smoother, right? We are not going to impact how your underwriters do what they do, but we will impact the experience on the way in. And so there may just be less questions, less concern, less misunderstanding that could slow things down as the process moves forward. So I would say the same thing. Some people have come to us and said, hey, your prescriptive scenarios that tell us that this borrower is qualified for this particular loan with us is like a soft underwriting. I love the compliment, but I agree with Joe. It's not. It just makes it easier to move through the process. but it doesn't really impact exactly what your underwriters are doing. But it's a great question. I love that your mind went there. That's really great. All right. Do we have anything else? Any other questions? And if anything we haven't answered, both our teams are looking through all the questions, and we will be emailing. And if there's something wasn't answered or we missed it, because there was a lot of fantastic activity. Anything for Carissa? Is anyone on here that's like, hey, let me get one more nugget from Carissa before she hops off the call? Because you don't get to see her often in these situations, although might be seeing you a lot more now because of the way you presented yourself here. It's fantastic. So any other questions for Carissa? And then we can get that answered. While you guys are thinking of those questions or any comments for her, we just a reminder, we are excited to do a deep dive with those of you that want to do a deep dive with Joe and I. And thank you for showing that. Oh, I see something popping up. There's a question. Let's see. It went into the Q&A section. Carissa, will there be a recording of this presentation?
There will be a recording. We'll be sending it out after the call.
I love it.
That's it.
That's it. So it doesn't look like, first of all, audience that's here, thank you so much for all sticking around. I mean, everyone has a lot of things to do today, and you're here and you're asking questions and you're listening. So thank you so much for that. Carissa, I want to thank you again. Truly amazing. Just a model of where the industry should be going or should be. And you guys have just done an amazing job. And you personally have been such a joy to work with. So thank you for that. And Joe, thank you. And, I've always enjoyed your approach to business and just what Mortgage Coach has done for the industry to like you guys preach elevating the industry, and we're right in line with that. So thank you for making the time and sharing your thoughts today as well.
Well, no, thanks for putting this together. And again, the financial instrument of the mortgage is special. When you look at the affordable options that are available today, and when you look at how important home ownership is for people across the country, it's important for the industry to shift from price and to focus on advice, and to really make certain that we're leading our own organizations to make that transition from good to great. I think it's going to take a lot more events like this, a lot more evangelizing why the mortgage specialist is a true advisor and is part of the long-term financial plan of the customer. And again, I as we end the event, I would just turn to Carissa and say, is there anything that you think that people who are reluctant, not just maybe about technology or whatnot, but when you just think about what it took for yourself to feel comfortable to have marketing be a strong voice in the organization, have the team be able to look at brand the way that lenders should look at brand. You know as well as I do that sometimes top producers or particular branches may have a say in how things go in a way that doesn't necessarily allow the brand to take leadership. And you've done an amazing job getting consensus, finding the right balance between independent branding and really leading with the digital strategy. But if you could just share some of that, how you've been able to take that megaphone and make it heard in a large organization.
Yeah. So I think a lot of it comes down to trust and proof of concept. As the years have gone by and we've shown the value to our sales force, it becomes a lot easier to buy into it. But really the big thing is that we've never pushed the brand on our advisors. It's been something that's been very collaborative. So in everything that we do, we're putting the brand there because brand recognition is important. But we're also highlighting the loan officer and letting the loan officer be that face for Finance of America. For us, our sales force and our employees are the most important thing. They're what drives this company. Without them, none of this exists. So acknowledging that and giving them the respect that they deserve for us has always been really important. And really just kind of, again, it's super collaborative. It's making sure that we're co-partners in this almost. And then it just kind of evolves over the years. It's definitely been culture and brand isn't something that you build overnight. It takes a lot of mutual trust and a lot of mutual respect. But once you get it, it's great. So I think the big thing is really like listen to your sales force as much as you can. Like they're smart people. They know what's going on. And sometimes they need a little guidance, but if you listen to them, you're able to steer them a little bit more too, because they know that what you're doing is in their best interest. So I don't know if that totally answered the question, but
absolutely it did. I mean,
kind of how it worked for us.
about how you have to listen to them and provide that guidance, and it's this balance. And you've been able to strike it so well and take the needs and requirements of the brand and match them to what the individuals need. And again, sometimes that does require finesse and advocating for both parties to get the results that they need. So I think it's important learning, and it's really inspirational to see it come together. So I hope that many of the brands that attend today will take the step forwards and have similar leadership success.
So Carissa, there is a question for you. Now, they all woke up and they all want to ask you something now.
Sure.
Now that we're in the 11th hour, which by the way, we talked about and we said we're willing to stay longer. So this is great. Carissa, there's a question from you from Kristen. Kristen is asking, if we already use both solutions, how did you get your team to adopt and use regularly?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that's the $1 million question. Automation and ease of use is really what we did. So making it easy for them to do. We've also put some requirements around what our expectations are. So for every sales boomerang alert that goes out, we require our loan officers to basically check a box within our CRM saying that they took action on that. We're able to see what our loan officers are doing and help them. Again, we have a retention team, which has been really valuable to help kind of have those conversations and see where their pain points are and overcome them. And you don't need a full team for that. It can be just a marketing person that gets on the phone, or somebody that's really into Mortgage Coach that uses it every day, just kind of seeing where their peers are. Having those people be the salesperson for these products is incredible. So for us, it's really, it's ease of use, it's automation, and it's accountability is what we've seen work really well.
And I'm sure Joe can add to this too. When it comes to adoption, and really we look at adoption two ways: adoption and utilization. You can adopt and have something on your computer and be like, yeah, I have this, but not using it, then it's kind of a waste. So both, I'm pretty sure, actually I know Mortgage Coach does this well, and Sales Boomerang really focuses on driving utilization. And we have many different ways of encouraging your team to use this. But remember, both systems are so simple. They're so simple. It's about it's about just the knowledge that they exist, and then we train on the fact that, hey, this is a philosophy. This isn't a new technology to learn. This is a philosophy for yourself and your business and how you're approaching the industry and your customers. If you fall in line with this philosophy, then it's very easy, and you will utilize it. Not just utilize it, but you will encourage everyone around you to utilize it. We've seen that happen in all of these companies. Once somebody understands, like a Tim, they want other people, like, hey, you're new, and instantly starts bringing people in. And so adoption utilization within Sales Boomerang is a really fast thing for organizations, and Mortgage Coach is also extremely easy to use and operate. So that is I'd say $1 billion question. But luckily with the two organizations that you have here, they're very easy to understand, and the advantage of using them or getting them to be used by your team, it's a pretty quick and easy to digest experience.
I think the other thing too is let them talk for themselves. These are very successful tools. We know that they work. So find somebody in your organization that you can just kind of spotlight for a couple of months and see where their numbers are from 1 month to the next, and use that to sell. Every loan officer just wants more loans. That's all they want. Show that these tools are doing that. The time that it takes to learn or read scripts or figure out what they're supposed to do becomes a lot easier when you put, hey, this person made X amount of money because they spent 5 minutes learning how these work. So dangling that in front of them works. We've seen some success with that.
Well, and let me add something to this too, and I'm sure Joe can echo or add to this. Since so many of you are still here listening, understand that there's a lot of top producers over at Finance of America, right? Um, you can retain those producers by having things like this, right? It's hard for them to leave when this simplicity exists and the value is clear. But this is also what's used to attract talent, right? This is how you can bring in the talent that you're looking for, having tools like this. And so keep that in mind too. The great question about adoption and utilization, it's great, but understand that these things are used and they're used pretty effectively, and they're easy to implement. But once you have them rolling and you have some evangelists and some really happy users, that's what you use to start to keep your team together and grow your team, right? And then you have this buy-in. You created your culture. Like, this is important to you. The experience for your loan officer is important. The experience for the borrower is important, but you're not just saying it. Everyone likes to say it. Here's a company that proves it. And when you prove it, you have people going, you know what? I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that, right? And so just think about these resources, not just for growing volume, but also growing your team and keeping your team together. It's the glue that attracts and keeps it together. So keep those things in mind too. There's some other questions that have come in. Paula, I know I've seen this question from you. I'm not sure if it's one I should answer and talk about here, because it feels like it's more of an internal sales boomerang question. If you could just put in chat if you're looking for some more internal kind of how we've built our own system for ourselves, I can answer for that for you personally. I don't know if that's exciting for everyone on here, so I'm going to skip that unless I'm misunderstanding the question, Paula. So I don't want to skip over that because you've asked it twice. Anything else? There was someone asking about their one-man team. Can Sales Boomerang or Mortgage Coach be implemented? The answer is probably yes. It all depends on what your setup is inside your organization, but that's also, I'd say, is a one-on-one conversation that we can have. But can the tools be used? Yeah, I mean, they can be used by anyone. The question is, are you set up to be able to take advantage of those things? So that would be a separate conversation. And